right, so guys, I understand that there's still some confusion about the way that we handle homework. And frankly, this early in the year, that is not uncommon at all. But what I'd like to do is gather around the calendar really briefly, sort of try to lay out the theory behind what we're doing relative to homework. Because I know that you feel pressure. You're like, wait, I did the homework, I need to turn it in, and I'm not completely sure about how this works. So guys, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you the process by just gathering at the calendar. And then guys, at that point, we do have a homework assignment we need to address. We'll grab it in a minute. And then physically, we are going to do this together just to make sure that you understand how this works. So, guys, with that said, this is how we handle homework. So looking, for example, at the calendar today, and then we need to go backwards. So guys, at the end of last week, we're actually going back to Friday the 28th. We had a homework assignment. It's listed right here, homework. You worked on it in class. You probably finished it up. It was the assignment where you were calculating percent error and then looking at laboratory procedures. Now, guys, understand we should have turned in this assignment on Tuesday, but we didn't have time because we were doing the lab. And guys, understand this is one of the things that we're working on fine-tuning because we're frankly not yet accustomed to all of these short class periods. Hi, guys. So, TJ, we're right up here, right up front. So guys, again, we're trying to adjust to these short class periods, and as a result, sometimes our days get a little muddled. So guys, technically we should have turned in this assignment on Tuesday, but we couldn't. So now you're like, wait, how am I supposed to know when this assignment is due? And the answer is look right here. Guys, you got to turn into detail, people. So if you look on the calendar, you'll notice the assignment that you got on the 28th. It says right here, due September 3rd, which is today. So guys, this is the assignment that you are going to turn in today. But then you're like, okay, so I want to turn this in, and I click on this link, and when I do, I get this error page that says that this is it's not accepting scores. Guys, the reason is because we haven't addressed the assignment in class yet. And because we haven't addressed the assignment, you can't say yes to the questions that you're answering because you haven't had a chance to get your questions answered. So, guys, these links do not open up until the day the assignment is due. So, with that in mind, let's move forward then into September, and here we are on September 3rd, and what we're going to do today to start the day, and again, we should have done this on Tuesday. It's usually the next class period, but guys, what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at this homework. So guys, please grab your 3-ring binders and grab the percent error lab procedure homework assignment. That looks surprisingly like this. Okay. So, guys, if you remember, on the front of this assignment, we agreed together that probably if we could do a couple of these, we'd be just fine. And so, guys, we only did numbers 1 and 2. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a moment to sort of focus on this and get a sense of what your answers to 1 and 2 should look like. But, guys, here's the deal. If your answers do not look exactly like my answers, you are not okay. Now understand, guys, I will never know. You never turn in your homework to me, so I will never know if you're doing these properly until you turn in your labs. Because, guys, this was the very last calculation that you did in your labs. And those you do turn into me and I grade. So guys, you got to understand there's a cascading effect that takes place here. Because if you're not doing this right, there's a very real chance that you're not doing these right on the lab. If you're not doing them right on the lab, all of a sudden you're going to be held accountable for that, and you're going to be like, oh, wait a second. So guys, I know that this is new to you. You guys are used to turning in papers to teachers and not seeing them again for a month. But guys, that's not the way we do this. You are providing yourself immediate feedback. And so guys, here's the deal. If you did not write down the equation, you're not okay. If you did not set this up, including units, and I know that you don't know what grams over moles means. It doesn't matter. For now, they're just units. But if you didn't put units on your numbers, you're not okay. And then, guys, if your answer is not 2.9 and only 2.9, you're also not okay. So, guys, it's at this point that you need to start asking questions. And then also on number 2, equation, setup, and then your answer. So, guys, what questions do you have on the math? Is it okay if I ask one? How on earth did we end up with 2.9 as the answer? How did the significant digits work in these problems? Guys, this is also something you're going to need to know for the lab write-up that you're completing today. So, guys, if you would allow me, let me step through the significant digits with you on question number 1. Guys, if you don't have this correct, I would encourage you to write this down into your homework so you have a model for when you go back to do your lab write-up, where I will be looking at these, and you're going to have to do them right. So guys, when we do the math on these problems, what we're doing is we're doing the subtraction first. So we take 59.6 and we subtract 57.9. And guys, when we do that math, I get 1.70 and a bunch of zeros. And then guys, that is still divided by 57.9 and then times 100. But guys, here's the piece that maybe you're missing. When you do this subtraction, you then have to round that number properly. And guys, this is the way that this works. When you round these numbers, what you need to keep track of is decimal places. So guys, if I've got 1 decimal place here and 1 decimal place there, I only get 1 decimal place in that subtraction. Why does that matter? And the reason that that matters is now I'm ready to do the division. And when I go 1.7 divided by 57.9 and then times 100, guys, I get 2.9361 as the answer to that division, then times 100. But guys, now we need to round to significant digits. And if you look, this is 2 significant digits. That is 3 significant digits. We get the fewest significant digits, which means 2, which means that this rounds to 2.9%. So again, guys, when you're doing subtraction, you keep track of decimal places. When you do division, you keep track of significant digits. So guys, again, I understand that for some of you, you're going, oh my gosh, this just feels like a lot. But guys, you got to understand, this is what makes the math interesting in a science class, is all of a sudden it's not just about poking your numbers. You can no longer be a passive participant. You need to engage in these numbers to figure out how to manipulate them and represent them properly. So guys, questions on number 1, or again then maybe on number 2? You guys okay? Please. Yeah, like step through the math? Yeah, I'd be happy to. So let's take a look at it. So when we jump down here to number 2, equation and setup, and then subtraction, right? Okay, so we've got 31.4 minus 32. And I'm going to, rather than do this wrong and make a mess, let me just do it right. Okay, so here we have 1 decimal place, 1 decimal place. So when I do that subtraction, I get 1 decimal place. So the result of the subtraction gives me 0.6. It's not negative because it's absolute value, and it's 1 decimal place because of my starting point. And then I'm going to divide that by 32.0 and multiply that by 100. So 0.6 divided by 32 times 100, and I'm going to write up here, I get 1.875. But now we need to think about significant digits. This is 1, this is 3, so we only get 1, and that number rounded to 1 significant digit is 2. Is that okay? So guys, again, if you are not doing this properly right now in your homework, you may need to say no when we grab our phones in just a minute and try to enter this homework assignment. Because guys, in your heart of hearts, if you don't understand what we're doing, you need to be true to yourself and say, no, I don't get this. And you just don't submit the assignment. It goes in the grade book as a 0, which in the end doesn't hurt your grade. It's simply a reminder to you that you've got more work to do to master this process. But guys, again, questions on 1 and 2. You guys all okay? Okay. So then, gang, we got to flip this over and look at the back. So we go here, we get rid of this, we flip this dude over. And guys, here then are the answers to everything on the back. I would suspect that now this is more familiar to you than it was originally, simply because you've now done the lab. Lighting Bunsen burners, tearing balances, measuring volumes, all the other things that we've done. Guys, is there anything here you'd like to explore more? Any of these concepts? You okay? Please. Number which? 9? I don't have the assignment. Can you remind me what it said? Oh, yeah. So we talked about this briefly in class. And the thing that's important is don't set lids down. Palm them in your hand. So you're going to palm the lid in your hand. You're going to pour what you need. And then the other important bit is don't pour back into bottles. So, guys, anything else? You guys all okay? Okay. So, guys, with that said, we are now going to record this homework assignment. So grab your phones and pull up www.ohschemistry.org. Now, guys, if you want to go through this exercise, even though you know that you are not done with this assignment, feel free. But guys, understand, this is completely an honor call. But if you are not being truthful about this, you're actually crippling yourself. Because guys, you know darn well you're not going to go back and do an assignment that you have a score for. So guys, the idea here is if you don't record this as completed, all that does is puts a reminder in the grade book for you that simply says, oh, I need to go back and do this still. You can still turn it in. Everything will be fine. But guys, if you cut corners and record this score, you're just hurting yourself. So guys, what I need to do before we get into this is I need to turn this on. So this is how, we normally won't do this in class, but what I have to do now is I have to go out to this form and turn it on so that it accepts scores. So I just go out here to responses and turn this on, and that is now saved. At that point, guys, here's what you're going to do. Normally you would do this at home, but we'll do it together now. You're going to go out here to August 28th in your mobile browser, and you're going to go to reporting and then Knappenberger. Don't click on call. Now this document is available to you. You will type in your first name. You will type in your last name. Then please, of course, click on A1. And then, guys, at that point, this is important. Don't rush through this. Guys, this is the important honesty call. In clicking on that yes button, here is what you are agreeing to. Number 1, you completed the homework. And guys, understand, I can see your homework pages. I see a lot of blank pages. If you say yes, guys, understand, you're saying you did the whole assignment. Please don't lie. Then, guys, number 2, You are agreeing to the idea that you checked your answers, either here in class or even better, online while you were doing it. And then guys, number 3, this is important. You got all your questions answered. You feel comfortable with this material. And guys, if you know that that's not true and you don't know how to handle significant digits in percent error calculations, for example, don't click yes. Don't submit anything. Then guys, what happens is this gets entered into the grade book as a 0, and that is simply a reminder to you that you need to address that. Come get help, work with other people, whatever that takes. Yeah. Say that again. Oh, did I not go through them all? Is there one in particular you have a question about? Oh, so that one was up there. We'll come back to it in a minute. So guys, if you can say yes to this, click yes, and you're good to go. So it sounds like we may need to look here. You needed specifically number 5? Oh, we only did 1 and 2. Yeah, if you want to look at the rest of them, I'd be happy to do that. But we only are being accountable for 1 and 2. Okay. So guys, that's what it looks like to turn in homework. It's due at midnight tonight. After that, it simply becomes late. We normally won't do this in class, but I wanted to make sure that you understood how this works. So guys, any questions about grading homework or submitting homework in here? You guys all okay? You're good? Okay. So gang, let's do this. Take that homework assignment. Please shove it in the homework section of your notebook. Then if you would please, we're going to gather some stuff together. So let me get rid of this. And we're good there, good there. And then guys, by the way, if you're curious to see this, let me show you how this works. And I don't think this is bad to show everybody. Guys, what I end up with then is a list of all of you that said yes. All that I do is I sort this list by last name and just dump scores into Skyward. If you turn it in late, I actually get a notification that tells me that you did, so I catch those too. Well, guys, this is how this works on my end, and I just enter these scores into Skyward. So there you go. All right, so we can get rid of this. We can quit that. We can close this. And guys, let me pull this over and let's talk about what we're up to today. So guys, what you need to do is you need to grab the following things. First of all, you need to grab paper and pencil or pen. Well, probably pencil. You need to grab something to write with. Then guys, in addition to that, you need a calculator. Your phone is not an appropriate substitute for a calculator. You were to have got one for the class. Please grab your calculators. Then guys, in addition to that, you need a periodic table. We'll talk more about this in a moment. And then guys, finally, get your salt and sand lab write-ups out of your notebooks. The ones that you were to be ready to turn in today with all of your calculations done. And the conclusions done on the back. So guys, let's do this first. All right, well, okay, so again, pencil and paper. And guys, the paper is actually for notes today. So you may as well just go ahead and title it Metrics and Density. So on that blank sheet of paper you've got Metrics and Density. The date today again is the 3rd. Bless you. And now, guys, let's talk for a second about periodic tables. So you have on your table a periodic table. There should be one at each one of your tables. Guys, these are not yours to keep. These are for you today to share with the person that you're sitting next to. But guys, you may want to jot note to yourself. You need to go buy one of these before Tuesday. On Tuesday, we're going back to lab. And so in lab on Tuesday, you will need a periodic table. So guys, the place to buy these is our school bookstore. They're $1 for the paper ones, and they're $5 for the laminated plastic ones. Guys, you need to go buy one of these. You need it for lab. You're going to need it for the rest of the year. I'm lending you one today, but sort of on your to-do list, run by the bookstore, which is only open before school. Run by the bookstore and grab a periodic table. And again, you need this in your possession before Tuesday. Again, I'm lending you one today, but go buy one. $1 for paper, $5 for plastic. You guys all set? We ready to go? All right. So guys, here then is what we're up to today. Guys, we're going to actually accomplish two things. First thing we're going to do is we're going to wrap up the lab that we did last time. So you have in front of you, may I steal this? You have in front of you your best effort at writing up this lab. But guys, if you're not picking up on this, this is something you turn into me. So you may have really interesting ideas about what's going on in your mind with this. But guys, if it's not on paper, I can't give you credit for it because I'm the one that's grading your labs. So guys, what we're going to do first is we're going to grab these lab sheets that you have in front of you. And guys, that thing just became a rough draft. If at the end of the day today you feel like that is still something you can turn in with pride, throw it in the basket before you leave. But guys, if you look at that lab and you go, oh boy, if I turn this in, this isn't going to turn out well. Guys, you now have until next class period, which is Tuesday of next week. Guys, you now have until Tuesday to fine-tune this thing. Now guys, I do have extra copies of a blank lab. If you want one of these as you leave, feel free to help yourself. But guys, understand, the due date is now Tuesday. Again, if you're good, turn it in today. But if you're not good, you have until Tuesday to perfect it. If you weren't here to do the lab, guys, jump on our website, start clicking on the links, and you'll see everything you need to do the lab is there. So guys, looking at your labs, grab something you can write with the understanding that you want to be successful with this thing. And guys, let's talk about what this lab should look like. How am I going to grade it? You ready? Change these things if they're wrong. Guys, first of all, this. Measurements 1, 2, 4, and 5 should all have the units grams. If yours don't, fix it. Then, guys, obviously, measurement 3 is not grams, it's milliliters. If you did not label that dude milliliters, please do that. Now, guys, oh, please. No, and actually, in the future, please don't. If you did now, don't change it. You're okay. But guys, we actually do not circle estimated digits. So now you're thinking, then why did you have us do that? And the answer is because early in the year, we want to draw your attention to them. For the rest of the year, we'll just understand that we're doing that. Okay? All right. So then, guys, the next thing that I'm going to be looking for on the lab, measurements 1, 2, 4, and 5 should each have 2 decimal places of accuracy. You were reading them right off the balance. Now, guys, check this out. What if you don't? What if on number 1, you just wrote down 24.1, and for some reason you didn't record the 3? Guys, you don't know what that digit is, and you can't just make it up. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you are short digits, please just put a question mark. That tells me that you know that you did it wrong. You can't make up for it now because you're not weighing this anymore. So a question mark just means, okay, I get it. I screwed this up. I'll do it right next time. But now, guys, your measurement in number 3. chances are good a lot of you got this wrong, because this is the one that you were measuring against a scale. And all of our graduated cylinders are marked out in whole milliliters. So I'm guessing that a good number of you do not have a tenths digit. If that is true, please put a decimal and a question mark, indicating that you now understand that you should have estimated to tenths. And you just forgot to. You guys good on the data chart? Okay. So then, guys, let's keep going. Looking down at calculation number 1. If your calculation number 1 does not look just like this, you're not okay. It cannot be written as a sentence. It also cannot be written over here. And guys, understand, this is not me being weird. These are the rules. And these are not rules that I made up. These are the rules that are agreed upon in terms of how to communicate these calculations. If you don't like it, you can argue with other people, because these aren't my rules. But we're going to do it. So guys, if it doesn't say mass of beaker and salt minus mass of beaker gives you the mass of salt in columns, you're not okay. Make it do that. Understand right now, just a second, if you're making a horrible mess on your paper, guys, do not turn in something with a bunch of scribbles. Do it over. You can doctor it up right now, but then you'll recopy it. Yeah. Let me explain to you why. Yes, and here's why. When we read, here in the U.S., we read from left to right. And so the idea is that your reader's eye will always fall here first. And they'll be like, okay, this gives your reader context. What is the math that they're doing? And then you do the math. If you put this over here, then your reader's going to look first at your math and not know what it is, because they've got to look over there next. So always start with your setups. Yep. That's a good question, McKay. Did you get to watch the video of the lab? Was it okay? A little creepy though, huh? It was so weird doing that. We've never done that before. Yeah. So guys, if you don't know this, if you missed a lab, Miss Call and I are actually now spending time in the afternoons doing our labs and video recording them. So if you missed a lab, you can just watch the video of us doing them. So then guys, from there, notice this. You've got a little bit of blank space, creating a separation between your setup and your calculation. And then guys, notice here then, the next thing is the calculation. These line up. Please don't, like these numbers are not up here somewhere. They line up left to right. Notice that the decimals all line up. There's units on your numbers. And you're keeping track of decimal places. 2 decimals, 2 decimals, 2 decimals. So again, guys, anything that's not correct, please correct it in your lab. Again, drawing on this idea that you want to do this well, correct these so that you can then rewrite them and have a good finished product. Then, guys, similarly, looking at calculation number 2, we've got the mass of the evaporating dish, the watch glass, and the salt, minus the mass of the evaporating dish and the watch glass yields the mass of the salt. Again, we're doing subtractions and calculations. That second calculation should look exactly like the first. Now, guys, if you right now are scrambling to write all this stuff down, which is fine, do you also remember that this is posted on our website? I showed you that when we did the lab last time. Guys, all of this is posted on our website as an example on the lab day. And so you can find it there as well. And then, guys, finally this. Down here at the bottom, your percent error calculation. Again, you're writing out the equation. You're plugging in your numbers with units. And then you're solving it. Given the data that I have 2 digits and 2 digits, which then become 2 significant digits, which then gives me 2 significant digits in my answer, or 21%. Then, guys, following that, on the back, you should have answered these two questions in complete, well-crafted statements, sentences. And guys, understand, I know this may be unexpected, but I expect you to write well in this class. So as you're answering those conclusion questions, please communicate to the very best of your ability. So guys, there you have it. That's the lab. Again, they're not due. They are now due on Tuesday. If you still believe you have something worth turning in, that's fine. Throw it in the basket. Otherwise, we'll do it Tuesday. Yeah. The lab? No. So I know, right? So much to keep track of, and you guys are doing amazing. Homework, that's how we deal with homework, right? So, but labs we deal with completely differently. You don't turn them in online. You put them in the basket. I grade them. I enter your scores. So there won't be anything in the grade book until after we all turn them in, and that due date is Tuesday. Yeah, thank you. I know this is just like schizophrenic, but that's where we're at. Guys, anything else, bless you, that you need to talk about the lab? Do you need another couple minutes in order to sort of wrap up your editing? Let me give you another 30 seconds to minute. And then, guys, we're going to shift gears. There's a little bit of material that we're going to talk about to get you ready for the next lab. By the way, guys, we're going into lab again on Tuesday. And then, guys, my goal here is to get through this material in less than 15 minutes. And then, guys, at that point, you're going to get your homework done so you don't have homework over Labor Day weekend. Which one? Grab one on your way out. Okay, they're up here. But just grab one on your way out. Hey. Say it again. Yeah. Uh-huh. Let's do this. We're going to be done in 10 minutes. Let's just jump on my computer and we'll figure it out. We'll be okay. Yeah. Ryan, are you guys all good? You guys are good? Anyone else need more time? Isaac, are you guys all settled? You guys are good? Guys, does anybody else need more time to work on this? Y'all okay? Okay. So, guys, just discipline, right? I know that if you have this lab out, it's going to be hard to be disciplined to not continue to work on it. So guys, please take this lab, tuck it in the lab section of your notebook. Out of sight, out of mind. Make that lab go away. And then guys, the only thing you need for the rest of the day is your note-taking paper, something to write with, and your calculator. So as much as you can, clean up your space. Guys, again, this is going to take about 15 minutes. And we're going to be ready to go. You guys all set? Atticus, you're good. Guys, are we good? All right, let's dig in. So, guys, here's the scoop. If you think back to the lab that we just graded, and think about, or that we just reviewed, and if you think about the data that we collected mass 4 times, we collected volume 1 time. But guys, even before that, when we sent you into that activity where you were making measurements, we had you measuring mass, we had you measuring volume, but we never really gave you a framework for what that stuff means. So guys, that's what we're going to do today. Please copy this table into your notes. So guys, let me guide you. Make it as wide as your page. Make each one of these sections 4 notebook lines tall. And then obviously that only needs to be 1 notebook line tall. And then guys, make it as wide as your page. So guys, again, the transition here is for this year, we've been talking about mass and we've been talking about volume, but we haven't talked about what these things actually mean. So what we're going to do today is we are going to define what these things mean, talk about how we measure them, and then we're going to bring them together into a new idea. We're going to do a little bit of math, and that new idea will then be the foundation for what we're going to do in lab on Tuesday. So again, guys, you're just creating this table. We will then flesh out this table. These are all, well, almost all the notes you're taking today. It's simply a reference that you're going to need. Then, guys, we're going to do a little bit of math by bringing these two ideas together, and then you'll get your homework done today. Or you should. You guys ready to go? You get this built? Not yet? How about now? You guys are like a herd of turtles. Good night. All right. You guys good? All right. So guys, if you're not quite there, you can sort of catch up as we go. But guys, what we're going to do, and it's really straightforward, but tying back to what we've learned in the last couple days, guys, the first thing we're going to talk about is volume. You remember that we measure volumes like volumes of liquids with graduated cylinders. But guys, the first thing we need to do is define the term. And when we talk, and then we're going to do mass and weight as well. So guys, when we talk about volume, what we're talking about is an amount of space. So guys, you ready for this? When we talk about how big something is in English units, what are the English units for volume? Well, pounds and ounces are weight. How do we know how big something is? Okay, feet and inches is length. But we're talking volume. So if you've got something about this big, how big is it? About a gallon. What if it's about this big? About a cup. What if it's about this big? About a tablespoon. So guys, we have all these ridiculous units in the English system for volume. Like teaspoons, tablespoons, cups, quarts, gallons. And guys, there's no relationship between them all. They're not a fixed number of, well, they're fixed, but they're not the same. The number of teaspoons in a tablespoon is not the same as the number of tablespoons in it's a mess. So guys, how do we fix it? Well, what we do is we abandon the English units for volume and we actually use the metric unit, which is the milliliter. So guys, we are not going to use English units for volume. We're going to use metric units. Just like you did in lab that you're looking at today, we measured the volume of the liquid in milliliters. So guys, let me introduce you to a milliliter. This is a milliliter. This is how large a milliliter is. But guys, here's the thing that's interesting. Want to take a guess? So this is a cube that has the volume of a milliliter, and some of you may know this. Guys, how long is each side of this cube? It's a centimeter. And guys, that allows us to actually give a milliliter a different name. Milliliters are actually the same as centimeters cubed. Because guys, this is a centimeter times a centimeter times a centimeter, or a cubic centimeter, and we use those interchangeably. So milliliters or centimeters cubed, same thing. But guys, there's another metric unit that we use, and that is a liter. But guys, liters are also called decimeters cubed. This is how big a liter is. You've seen 2-liter bottles of soda. But guys, this is the size of a liter. But this is also a decimeter, or a tenth of a meter. It's a decimeter on a side, and so we can call these cubic decimeters as well. Now guys, this brings us to something interesting. When we then measure the size of something, we can do it in a graduated cylinder, as you've done in lab. And guys, later in the year, we're going to talk about the idea that we can also then convert those to cubic unit measurements. But for now, just understand that we've got milliliters, we've got liters. Milliliters are the same as centimeters cubed. Liters are the same as decimeters cubed. And we measure those with graduated cylinders. You guys good? Okay. We're almost there. So then, guys, finally this, mass and weight. Most of you have taken physics, right? If you've taken physics, you should know that mass and weight are not the same thing. Mass is an amount of matter. Weight is the force of gravity pulling on mass. We're not going to draw a distinction. So if you know they're different, understand we're going to treat them as the same even though they're not. So guys, what then is the definition? Mass or weight is defined as an amount of matter. So guys, when we measure mass or weight in our world, we think about things like ounces and pounds. But these are not the units that we're going to use for mass or weight. Guys, what did you do in measurements 1, 2, 4, and 5 in lab? How did you measure the mass of stuff? Grams. And those are our units. But guys, here's the problem. If I ask you to picture how big is a pound of hamburger, I'll bet you mostly could come up with a mental picture of what a pound looks like. But guys, what if I ask you, what does a gram look like? How much stuff is a gram? So guys, let me give you a frame of reference. When we talk about a gram, what we're doing, by definition, is talking about the mass of a milliliter of water. You may remember doing this in the last activity station where you weighed a milliliter of water, and you should have found out it weighs about a gram. It actually weighs exactly a gram. But guys, if this frame of reference isn't good for you, this is actually a gram. It's a paper clip. A large paper clip weighs almost exactly a gram. The problem is that's a ridiculously small mass to weigh things like you and me. So guys, we also use kilograms, which are thousands of grams. But again, I know that's weird to think about. So for reference, it's 2.2 pounds. So if you take your weight in pounds and divide it approximately in half, you can then figure out your mass in kilograms. So then, of course, guys, how do we measure this in our lab? And the answer, of course, is a balance. All right. So guys, now what we're going to do is this. We're going to bring these two ideas together. So we understand that volume is how big and mass is how heavy. Well, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to bring these ideas together into a brand new idea, which is called density. Scratch it in your notes. So mass, how heavy, volume, how big. Bring them together and you get density. And guys, density is simply a measure of the compactness of matter. But mathematically, guys, it's a ratio. It's a ratio of mass to volume. And when we think about ratios, we can then think about fractions. And so, guys, it actually looks like this. Density is equal to mass divided by volume. So guys, one last thing to do. You're done taking notes. We'll solve a couple of problems, and then you'll work on your homework. But guys, do this with me before we get going. What are our units for mass? When you weighed things in lab, what were your units? Grams. What are our units for volume? Milliliters. Guys, those are the units for density. Grams over milliliters. Or we can also use these. Grams per centimeter cubed. Because remember, milliliters and centimeters cubed are the same, and as a result, we can use them interchangeably. So guys, the question then becomes this. Why do I mention the units? Here's the answer. Guys, if you would sort of snuggle up with the person that's next to you and grab those periodic tables. So guys, I know that for many of you this is foreign, but let's set the stage quickly. Guys, a periodic table is literally a collection of information about all the little building blocks that make up our universe called atoms. Guys, do this with me. Look in the bottom left-hand corner of the periodic table. And you'll notice that down in the bottom left-hand corner, you have a decoder key. It tells you what all of the information in each one of the boxes represents. So guys, you'll notice that in the upper left, we've got the atomic number. In the upper right, we've got the atomic mass. Below that, we've got the symbol. Below that, we've got the name. But if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, what information do we see represented? The density. Do y'all see that? And then, guys, notice the units. What are the units for density on this periodic table? Per centimeter cubed. Oh, maybe for gases. But guys, for solids, it's grams per centimeter cubed. But guys, we understand those are the same. So here's what I'd like you to do. Find aluminum, element number 13. What is the density of aluminum? Is it 7 or 7.0? 7? Okay. So guys, the density of aluminum is 2.7. So guys, what does that mean? Well, check this out. Remember this guy? This is a centimeter cubed. Guys, check this out. Think with me here. This is a centimeter cubed. Listen, if this was full of water, what would it weigh? Ooh, a gram. Yeah. If this was full of water, it would weigh a gram. What if this was full of aluminum? What would it weigh? 2.7 grams. So here's the question. Does it float? Does aluminum float in water? Why not? It's more dense than water. So guys, that's an important idea that you need to understand. Things that float are less dense than water. Things that sink are more dense than water. And guys, aluminum is 2.7 times more dense than water, so it definitely sinks. But guys, that's the idea behind density. Your challenge is going to be to figure out how to calculate these things. So guys, we're going to do a little bit of problem solving. We're going to solve 2, and then I'm going to get out of your hair and let you get started with your homework. So guys, it goes like this, and you're going to want to write these down with me. Not the questions, but write down the solutions. So guys, here's a question. We have a metal block. This block weighs 100 grams. This block has a volume, and you don't need to write this part down, just the answer. The block has a volume of 8.81 centimeters cubed. If this block is a metal, an elemental metal, what is it? And guys, this is something you're going to be doing in lab as well. So let's think about this. We know a little bit of information about this chunk of metal, but the question is, what is the metal made of? How on earth can we figure that out? Go ahead. Okay, and then find it on the table. So guys, density is a characteristic property of a substance. And so if we can find the density of the substance, we can then find an element on the periodic table that has that density, and it will be that substance. So guys, let's try it. Again, this should come as no surprise to you. When we solve problems, we write down equations. Please do it with me. So density is mass divided by volume. Then, guys, we need to know the mass. 100 grams. Some of you, when you write down that number, will only write down the number 100 and you'll forget the point 0. Understand, guys, in doing that, you took a number with 4 significant digits and turned it into 1. Then, guys, the volume of this is 8.81 centimeters cubed. Now, in order to figure out the density, we simply do the math. I can do it for you. It's simply 100 divided by 8.81. But before we do, guys, check this out. How many significant digits in the numerator? 4. The 1 is significant. The 0 is a final 0 after the decimal. The other zeros are trapped. That's 4 significant digits. What about the denominator? 3. So we get the fewest, we get 3. So this math to 3 significant digits is 11.4 grams. But then don't forget the units, grams per centimeter cubed. So now, guys, we got to employ the strategy because we haven't answered the question. The question doesn't say what is the density, it says what is the metal. So now we've got to search furiously on the periodic table to find out what this is. And guys, let me put you out of your misery. Look in this area. Do you see it? What's it closest to? Lead. And guys, understand it's not going to be perfect necessarily, but the closest that we're going to get is lead, which has a density of 11.34. So that is probably the identity of the metal. Yeah. That's a great question. And the answer is we would either need to know the percentage of each one of the elements or we couldn't do it. We're not going to do that, though. So guys, are you good with the process and the thinking? Let's do one more. So joining me in this, and again, you don't need to write it down. But guys, the question is this. Let me even show you. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I will. So guys, the question says, what is the mass of 1,250 milliliters of aluminum? So guys, here we have 1,000, here we have 200, and 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, so guys, here is 1,250 milliliters. The question is if that's made of aluminum, what's it going to weigh? Well, we can figure that out. Again, guys, to solve the problem, we need an equation. You'll notice that I'm choosing to put the equation in a different place on the paper, in the middle rather than off to the side. The reason is because, guys, I know that for this problem, I'm going to have to solve it in a column rather than going left to right, and this is an easier way to do it. So, guys, we're solving for mass. So if we're solving for mass, we need to know the volume and we need to know the density, but we don't know the density. It's not given in the problem. So what do? Find it on the table, and we've already done that. You said that it was 2.7 grams per milliliter. Then, guys, mass is our x, and volume is 1,250 milliliters. Notice, guys, the number that I got off the periodic table, I didn't write down as grams per centimeter cubed. I wrote it down as grams per milliliter. Then, guys, algebraically, how do we solve this problem? We simply cross-multiply. 2.7 times 1250 gives us 3,400 rounded to 2 significant digits. So, guys, this collection, then, of aluminum would weigh 3,400 grams for that volume. Okay, so guys, here's where we are. We've got some things to wrap up for the day. We've got a pretty good amount. We've got about 15 minutes, which is great. You have a very short homework assignment. In addition to that, you have a lab that you need to wrap up and have done for Tuesday. In addition to that, guys, if you did not record the homework assignment because you don't have a phone, the last one, if you did it, do that before midnight. And then finally, guys, last thing, you got to get a periodic table before Tuesday. So 4 things. Periodic table, go buy it. Lab, finish it up. Homework, do it. And then, guys, finally, don't forget to address the last homework assignment if you're ready to do that. Yeah. Can you what? No, these are, yeah, good question. Hey guys, relative to these periodic tables, do not photocopy these because that's illegal. These are copyrighted. Also, no other periodic table will work in this class. There's lots of periodic tables out there, but guys, it's important that we all have the same one so we're all referencing the same numbers. So you just got to do it. Yeah. Beautiful. Bring it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just has to be that one. Yeah, yep. Hey guys, so one last thing before we go. This is usually the time in the year that we have this conversation, so I want to sort of have this now. A lot of you are coming into this class this year going, wait a minute, I have siblings that have been in Knappenberger's class. I know Mr. Knapp. And you're like, hey, I heard this class was really fun. I heard that Knappenberger is a good teacher, and I heard this was going to be a great experience. But I think some of you right now are starting to go, oh, wait a second. Knappenberger also has high expectations. He expects me to do good work. He expects me to care about the quality of the things that we're doing. Check this one out. He expects me to be to class on time. And what I'm starting to feel, guys, is that some of you are really starting to blossom in this environment. You're like, finally, somebody that's giving us the support and the opportunity to do things well. But some of you are going, man, this is not my deal. This just feels oppressive. I don't want to engage in this at this level, and this is not my thing. Guys, I would propose to you that doing good work and having a great time are not exclusively opposite. Because I will never apologize for asking you to do good work. We're going to have a wonderful time in this class. But guys, understand that these go together. And this is why I'm having this conversation now. My experience tells me that some of you in the midst of this, you're just going to count the cost and you're going to go, you know what, I don't care. I'm really not interested in engaging at this level. This just isn't my gig. The problem is if you do that, guys, quickly, the whole class, the rest of us are running ahead, doing good work, having a great time, and you're back here just doing your thing. And guys, quickly this just crumbles. And then you get frustrated with me and you try to blame me, and then eventually you realize that you're the one that dropped the ball. And by that point, it can be too late. So guys, please, just trust me in this. This is an amazing experience if you'll just step up and engage. So how do you do that? Get to class on time. 6 of you walked into class late today. Don't do that again. That's unfair to me and everybody else that got here to class on time. In addition to that, guys, when you're doing work, do good work. Do good work. Get in the habit of doing good work. Because you're going to find that in a couple weeks, this just feels good and we're going to be cruising. Because again, if you fight this now, it's just going to be a train wreck. And the rest of the year, if you survive, is going to be weird. Because now's the time to sort of count the cost and jump into all of this. All right, so you still have 12 minutes left. You will get this homework assignment done. There's only 4 questions. They forgot to punch holes in them. So I'm going to do that for you really quick. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we need to talk about that assignment, right? Let's do that right now. Well, I said something here, obviously. What I would give for a mask that doesn't fall off my face. All right. So it was the accuracy assignment. Here, come and look with me. Hey.
Can I rewrite these questions on the back?
Whatever you'd like to do. Sure, yeah.